Hello, fellow members of the Alliance, and welcome to the Alliance Football Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Villagomez. You can find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Find the show on Twitter at AllianceFBPod. We are finally at game week. This Saturday, we can stop all of the speculation. We can stop all of the what ifs and the I wonder, and it'll be interesting to see. And we will actually get down to live football action. I cannot wait. CBS is going to be the place to be this Saturday when we watch the first AAF game ever. I'm super excited. I cannot wait. I'm so tired of coming up with hypothetical situations to talk about, and we just need some real football to get our teeth sunk into. So, great show for you today. We are going to be talking to none other than Jamie Seh. She is the play-by-play announcer for the Orlando Apollos, and we welcome in the hosts of the Iron Legion podcast, Jeremy and Cole, to talk about their podcast and a little bit about the Legion. So I'm not going to waste any more time on this intro. Let's just get going. In this last week of our football history, we turn our attention to San Diego and the Phoenix area. I know that it's the Arizona Hotshots, but Phoenix is what it originally was, and we're going to go with Phoenix as the history of the city that they're playing in. And we already know that both of these cities have storied football histories in the NFL in particular, where a lot of these other cities, other than Atlanta, don't necessarily have long NFL histories, if any at all. But San Diego and Phoenix both have had their long stays, and we all know that obviously San Diego Chargers have called San Diego home since the second season of its existence. Obviously, the first season it played in Los Angeles, where it is now. But it was in San Diego for the longest time, both in the AFL and the NFL. So San Diego is no stranger to startup leagues, actually, as the Chargers began in the AFL, which was a startup league at the time that was rivaling the NFL. Of course, we know that the AAF is not set to rival the NFL, but it is a startup nonetheless. So there's been successful startup leagues that started in San Diego, and we're definitely hoping that the AAF is one. But if you don't follow football very closely, or the NFL at all, indulge us while we delve a little bit into the history of the Chargers. They were, again, like I said, part of the AFL, the AFL West, when the AFL started. They actually won an actual championship in the AFL in 1963. They beat the Boston Patriots. So we know who those folks ended up becoming. But they beat the Boston Patriots in 51-10, and they won their first conference championship. League championship in 1963. But they took home a conference championship in the AFC when they first joined in 1964. Here's the thing. They've been to the playoffs a ton. 17 times in total between both the AFL and the NFL. But I got to tell you, they just have not been, obviously, very good when it comes to winning Super Bowls and winning the big game. Obviously, we know that the Super Bowl they were in, they really got clobbered by the 49ers. My 49ers, thank you very much. I got to tell you, it was a good game for me if you were a Niner fan. But if you were a Charger fan, you weren't happy with that 49-26 performance that they did. Lots of great players that have come through the San Diego Chargers. Guys like LaDainian Tomlinson and Dan Fouts, and so many great players in that San Diego Charger era. The list could go on and on and on. But really what it all boiled down to is that the Chargers were a pretty big part of San Diego for so long, since the early 60s. And when they got moved to L.A. This last season, that left a bad taste in so many San Diego football fans' mouth. So when the Alliance came through to actually introduce the fact that they were coming back to San Diego and bringing professional football back, that's why there was so many Fleet podcasts jumping on the scene and so many supporters of the Fleet, is because that NFL city was already established and hungry for football, and then it got taken away. with Atlanta, there's still football there. So the need to upstage the Falcons doesn't exist because the Falcons are still there. So when the Chargers pulled out of San Diego, I feel like this is every San Diego resident's big middle finger to the Chargers to try to support this Fleet team and to show them that football in San Diego is viable and certainly not dead in the water. So, that's the thing about this league. Second chances, right? San Diego gets a second chance to prove that it was wronged and that they should have a football team. So it's going to be exciting to watch the Fleet play, especially in how the Chargers played this year in LA, making it all the way to the playoffs. But, again, it's just a matter of if this team is successful, it's going to come from the fans and those Chargers fans that cheered for so very long, and watched some very great players come through its gates. And, and the players that they played against, the team was a success in the sense that it wasn't the Browns. They weren't losing every season. But obviously, they've fallen on a little bit of hard times with things being what they were. But again, the Fleet is going to come in and it's going to cure all ails, right? We're not going to spend too long on that. In fact, that's enough. I think if you are a football fan and you're listening to this, and the history of San Diego football, or if not, it's something you could probably go, if you're new to football in general, or if you're listening to this and you don't know that San Diego had a football team before the Fleet, then, that's okay. Go look it up, because, again, I'm not going to sit here and make this about the Chargers. We just wanted to mention that the Chargers actually did play football in San Diego before the Fleet. So we turn our attention to another NFL city that's still an NFL city, and that is, NFL state, should we put it? Arizona? Because the Arizona Cardinals actually are the oldest continuous running professional football franchise. A lot of people don't know that, and they are actually one of the oldest obviously the oldest team. But they came to Phoenix from St. Louis, and they actually were the St. Louis Cardinals, if you don't remember, before the Rams were St. Louis and now L.A. But it was the St. Louis St. Louis Rams, the St. Louis Cardinals before that in 1988, if anybody can remember back that far. But they came from way back in Chicago. They were actually in Chicago in 1898. They were the Chicago Cardinals, and then moved all over the place to eventually become the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals have done pretty well for themselves. Obviously, they've been in playoffs. They've had great players. We know that actually Emmitt Smith came through in one of his final stays. But yeah, I mean, Arizona, the Cardinals have definitely been a mainstay of that state. And so here's another situation where we're in an Atlanta situation, right? The NFL team is still in the house, so to speak, while the AAF team is about to get its start. Now, little did we know, or some people, Phoenix was actually the name of the Phoenix Hotshots before they changed to the Arizona Hotshots. They were going to have the team be dubbed as the Phoenix team, but then later changed to make it the Arizona Hotshots. So, again, we're encompassing the entire state of Arizona in this branding, which I think is a good idea, because, again, everybody's getting behind the Arizona Cardinals as it is their team. And the Phoenix Cardinals is not a big a draw, because if you don't know the Phoenix area or even the Arizona kind of landscape, there's a lot of little cities within that Phoenix area, and you can encompass all of those, and then even out a little further if you wanted to. But giving the name the Arizona Hotshots, I think, does encompass all of it. So again, the Cardinals were there. And they've been there for a very long time, and they actually made one championship appearance, right? They were in the Super Bowl in 2009, but have lost 27-23. Sad. But yeah, here's the thing: the NFL has done very well in Arizona, and it's going to continue to do well. So I think that bodes well for the Hot Shots, because Arizona likes their football. And I think that if they were to support the Hot Shots as well as they do the Cardinals, then I think the AAF is in good position. They also have a very successful indoor football team, right? The the Indoor Football League, the Arizona Rattlers. They used to be part of the AFL, the Arena Football League, but now they're in the Indoor Football League. And they've actually, the Rattlers were a very formidable indoor team for a very long time. And I remember watching Arizona Rattler games when the AFL first started in '92. And they've done very well. So the indoor team is also something that Arizona fans can hang their hats on. So football alive and well in Arizona, and definitely worthy enough for the Hot Shots to pop in and see what they can do. So again, we're not going to spend too much more time on this because Arizona and San Diego are pretty much the easiest of the whole cities. They didn't have a whole lot of leagues flying back and forth and teams coming back and forth from different leagues. They basically have been a one-team city or state, as it were, for a very long time. They were quite monogamous in their professional football. So we'll go ahead and end the football history lessons there. Close the books. Take out your pencils. Your test is coming up next. Just kidding. We got more show coming up next, so hang on. Only a few more days left till the first game, first snap, give them, however you want to put it. And CBS has seen fit to actually give us some talking points, some jumping off points, some power rankings early on into this season. And I got to tell you, I know that it is so ridiculously early for power rankings. But I mean, look, these guys have seen all these teams in action. Not all of us have been able to see all these teams in action. So these power rankings that we're going off of are basically the early onset of what the reporters have seen during training camp. And then, of course, during the scrimmages that just happened this last couple of weeks. And so the power rankings that are out right now, and we got to credit the CBS folks over there, Ben Kercheval. Sorry, Ben, I just totally butchered your name. Kercheval? We're going to go with Kercheval, Ben. And please feel free to correct me if you're listening, or if anybody listens that knows Ben, please correct me on his last name. But Ben Kercheval laid out the power rankings already, and we have, like I said, only a couple of days before the first snap to actually debate these. And once the weekend's over, we can actually put a new power ranking into effect. And so power rankings are interesting for me, at least. I know I tried my hand in college power rankings a long time ago, but there's a lot of factors that go into actually power ranks. I mean, it's not just who's got the best record or who's doing the best at the time. There's so many, at least in my opinion anyways, I don't know. It could be, you could have a simple solution to say, look, whoever has the best record is obviously the most powerful team. But for me, sometimes record doesn't say it all, because there's times where a team will be, I don't know, in this case, maybe a 3-7 team in the regular season. Well, that means that they probably aren't very high on the power rankings. Well, no, they're not going to be up at number 1 or number 2, obviously, compared to a 7-3 team or an 8-2 team. But I feel as if there's that wiggle room in there that the 3-7 team could be more strong than let's say a 5-5 team. But they just had a few bad breaks, right? Their offense is good, their defense is good, the numbers are good, but they just got a few bad breaks. Maybe a bad call, maybe a fumble late in the game. I mean, you can't really fault too many for that. So when you take a look at power rankings in any sport, I think you have to take it with a grain of salt first. And then second, when you're doing it before there's even been an actual official snap in the regular season, that also it has to be taken with a grain of salt. So as we take a look at these power rankings, I'm not going to read his article verbatim. You can definitely go read it. It's on cbssports.com right now in the AAF section. So you might want to double check or check and make sure that Ben Kercheval still has him up, which he will. But we're just going to go through the teams and maybe talk a little bit about why they could be there. Just in a general sense. Like I said, I'm not going to read his whole article, but we will go over what he ranked as the top 8 teams in this power ranking. So the first one he gave nod to was the Hot Shots. And he mainly basically boiled it down to the fact that they've got a couple of good quarterbacks. And you can read the rest of it too. But the strength of quarterback play and what he saw in the scrimmages gave the hot shots the early advantage here in this league. And again, this is just going off of all the preseason stuff and the scrimmages. But yeah, it's incredible to actually see the rankings anyways, because they're so early. I'm not going to get off of that. It's just so early for these rankings. But here we go. These are the talking points. The second on that list is the Orlando Apollos. They're a strong team, actually. They're one of the teams that I think is going to be a strong team. If you just look top to bottom, they have, I think, the coach, obviously, that knows how to win. And their organization is pretty strong. I know the president. We had him on the show. We actually just talked, or we're going to talk to, in a future down, Jamie Seh, the play-by-play announcer on the radio for the Apollos. So, I mean, I feel like they've got a very solid foundation, and they could very well turn that into a good quality product on the field. So we'll see, and we'll make sure that we're paying attention. I mean, they're 5-1 odds right now to win the whole thing. And if you haven't seen, the sportsbook numbers yet, the odds actually did come out, and we'll talk about that actually in the second half. But yeah, I mean, the Orlando Apollos are right up there as one of the favorites to win this whole thing, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Third on the list is the San Antonio Commanders. So Commanders come in third. I know all the Commanders podcasts out there agree that they love their Commanders, and San Antonio is going to absolutely adore this team. And maybe fan support will go a long way in helping these guys do well in the league this season. So, they've got a lot of talent on that field, and they definitely are one of the front runners, I think, in this. Fourth is the Salt Lake Stallions. Now, here's the thing. I haven't heard very much out of Salt Lake, and I really haven't heard a whole lot out of Arizona. Luckily, we've got a couple of podcasts to pick that up. But by and large, the news out of Arizona and Salt Lake has been few and far between. And so I don't know. I mean, again, this is all going off of what the reporters have seen, but it's just hard for me to gauge where, Arizona gets the top spot and Salt Lake when there's really not a whole lot being said about them. So yeah, I don't know. It's Salt Lake number 4. I guess somebody had to be number 4 on this list. And then Atlanta Legends are number 5. And I know that there's a lot of Legends fans out there that are screaming foul at this one. Only because, with Michael Vick as the OC, obviously Childress is gone, but Kevin Coyle comes in and steps in and is all right. So, I don't know. Again, these are all just early rankings, and Atlanta Legends landed on 5th on Ben's list. Coming in at 6th is the Birmingham Iron, which we will actually hear from their podcasters in a little bit. But they came in at number 6. They've got, I think, a team that was built for Alabama, and in fact, the podcasters from the Iron are going to allude to that eventually. But, with Trent Richardson back there, it just feels like it's going to be one of those powerhouse teams, right? With a solid running game and gritty and, no, not Philadelphia gritty, but gritty, as far as what they are. And so for them, I don't know why they would be 6 on the list. But then again, I wasn't at practice, so I don't know. Coming in 7, much to the chagrin of every San Diego Fleet fan out there, it's the Fleet. They come in at number 7. They've got a lot of firepower, and they've got Mike Martz handing out crisp 5s, right, Shipyard? So yeah, I don't know. Again, this is one that kind of leaves me scratching my head, only because I don't know. I think all these teams should just be number 1 right now, because we don't know. We haven't seen them actually play yet. And then last but not least is the Memphis Express. Much sadness in Memphis that their team was actually picked to be the last team on the power rankings. And Again, this is Ben's opinion. This is what Ben is thinking. He's seen more than we have, and quite possibly knows something we don't. So we will all know come Saturday and Sunday, and that's the exciting part. We won't have to speculate on why a certain team falls a certain spot in the power rankings yet. And I'm not going to have my own power rankings. I think week 0 is I can't even throw power rankings out there right now. You guys can try if you want, and please at me at Alliance FB Pod with your power rankings before the season starts, and we'll see how they hold up once Saturday and Sunday roll around, and then we got 10 more weeks of it where we can play around with those power rankings, and we'll have fun with that on that. So and then the odds came out, like I said. Westgate Las Vegas, their sports book gave the odds to win the championship this April, and the Hot Shots came in at 5-2 favorites, and they're obviously all the teams are still on the same thing, but they came in at 5-2 favorites to win the whole thing. Orlando is knotted up. Salt Lake Stallions came in at 4-1 favorites. And then the Commanders, Apollos, and Legends are all tied up there at 5-1 favorites to win the whole thing. The Fleet, the Express, and the Iron all come in at 10-1. Now, these odds were released on the 1st of February. And so, again, we'll see if that line moves at all. So if you're a betting person, now's the time to jump in, I guess, and throw some money in on the Fleet, Express, and Iron just to see if you can get yourself a pretty decent turnaround. I mean, look, if you threw $100 there, it's not too bad, right? I mean, I think $200 might get you a little something, and maybe you can even get yourself season tickets to the next season, or take a flight like me and go watch all the games, at least a home game in all the games. So there it is. Throw some money down at the Westgate, enough to where if you win, if the Express, if the Fleet, or the Iron win, it will pay for all of your travel expenses to go watch a game in every stadium next season. I may have talked myself into that. That's not a bad idea. So yeah, that's fun. And I'm hoping that there's a lot of action on this. I'm hoping that, again, once we get the app, man, where is that app? Hopefully by the time you listen to this, the app will be available. And if you listen to this on Saturday, I certainly hope that the app is available and that we can enjoy some AAF appage, because I said it on Twitter, and I'll say it here too. I understand that everybody's anxious and that we all want to hurry up and get this rolling, but we also have to recognize that this is the very first season. There's so many things that the very first time I ever did it, I fell completely flat on my face on day one, and I was better by day, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, but there are very few things in my life that on day one I jumped in and was super prepared and super ready to go. And for me, I feel like starting an entire league is one of those things where, I understand the hiccups that may happen, and this may not go smoothly. But I'm willing to ride out the storm. I'm not really ready to drop my allegiance to the Alliance just because a couple of things went wrong on opening day. I know that if you are a theater person, right, you probably had months to prepare. These guys have only had a few weeks, couple of months tops to prepare. And they're trying to learn an entire new system in an entirely new league with entirely new coaches. So I just, there's a lot of leeway that I'm about to give this league on their startup. So, yeah. All right. Well, that is the power rankings and that is the odds. Take it what you will right now before the season even starts. And, with all the cuts that happened just before and all that thing. And now the rosters are set. It's just, there's a lot that we don't know, and there's a lot we're not going to know until Saturday. But it's cool that we can finally say Saturday, right? And while you're at it, if you have not already, if you've been a hardcore AAF fan from the beginning, or even if you're jumping in now because somebody tweeted at you and said, no, football is not over, it's time to join the Alliance, There is a documentary going on right now on CBS Sports Network, and it is actually a two-parter. The first part aired last night, and I'm pretty sure that if you go maybe to CBS, if you have Xfinity or if you have cable, I know not everybody has Xfinity. Whatever your cable service operator is, if they have an on-demand or if they have a watch later option, I would go and look for the Uncuttables. That is the title of the documentary, and they actually are highlighting the AAF and the backstory. And Charlie gives his account. The tech guy gives his account. Which my question to him as soon as he showed up, I was like, "Where's the app?" But whatever. So that's all in there, and then of course, they show some action from the scrimmages. They show some action from those preseason games, which is, again, this was why they were doing these preseason games and weren't open to the public, as they were working out the bugs, and they were, you see some camera angles that they're working on and all kinds of different stuff. So part one airs tonight, or last night rather. And if you're listening to this, that was Tuesday night or Monday night rather. And then the part two airs Thursday night. So you have time, to catch up on it if you're not caught up on it yet. So again, that's Uncuttables. It's on the CBS Sports Network. It is the documentary that is pretty much ushering in the Alliance of American Football and the backstory and everybody that was involved in putting it on. So definitely a good watch. Go check it out. It's only a half hour. Second one will be a half hour as well. So it's an hour of your time, and it's definitely worth it. So all right, let's move on with the rest of the show. Joining me on the line right now is Jamie Seh. She is a play-by-play announcer for the Orlando Apollos and, among other things, works in the Orlando sports market as a sports director for a local television station. So, Jamie, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love the opportunity to talk about the Orlando Apollos, for sure.
And I got to tell you, there's so many people in this alliance that just love nothing more than to talk about the league itself, because this is exciting for so many reasons. And one of them is the fact that we get to watch more football after this last Sunday.
I know, right? I mean, I'm sure you're like me, who would be depressed and kind of counting down until the NFL season starts when the Super Bowl is over. Like the NFL season reaches its climax on Super Bowl Sunday, and then boom, it's gone, until preseason games in August. So this way, we've got meaningful games, not preseason games, meaningful games by professional football players, for the next 3 months. It's great.
And then there's junkies like me that actually jumped over to the CFL because I needed some football action. But there's even a lull between the Super Bowl and the start of the CFL season. So this lays in perfectly right in between them both. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think also for a place like Orlando that doesn't have its professional football team, it's a bonus. We don't have a pro team. The fans around here are split between the Jags, the Bucks, and the Dolphins, and none of those teams have really had a lot of postseason success recently. So this gives Orlando, its own professional football team to root for and really get behind. This is definitely a college football town here in Orlando. And there's a lot of guys from the Gators and the Seminoles and the University of Central Florida on the Apollo. So I think that's another reason why folks here in Orlando are excited about it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What's the reception been like? I mean, you're on the ground there. You've talked to Orlando fans. What's been the reception like for this team?
I think they're curious. I think people are curious. It all depends. I think this weekend is going to be obviously very huge. You never get a chance to make a first impression. I think the league has to make a really good first impression of good, fun, winning football. Good football, not bad football. It's got to be good football. I think people are curious because you've got the Steve Spurrier factor, who is so popular among fans here, who rooted for the Gators and just so well known, from college football fans in this area. I think they're curious. I know the Orlando Apollos have been kind of like a politician the last couple of months, just campaigning, and it's all about getting the name out there and getting the Apollos logo out there so people are aware. And, that's one of the things, just creating awareness about the team that, hey, we're here and we're starting on Saturday, February 9th. So, I think there's a buzz. Most of my friends are sports fans, so they know about it. And I think the public will catch on if it's a good product and if it's a winning team. I know they're hoping for about 25 to 30,000 for the opener, and that would be great.
This is dubbed as a league of opportunity, right? There's so many players that are getting a second chance, so many coaches that are getting maybe even a first chance. But a league of opportunity doesn't just extend to the what's going on the field, off the field, and in the booth as well. Now, I'm going to say, but there is a very, very short list of female football play-by-play announcers, and to have your name out there as one of the very few, that's got to be super exciting and got to speak to the opportunity that this league is giving everybody.
You're absolutely right. They dubbed it the League of Opportunity, and I really feel that applies to me. To have the chance to call football my favorite sport is a dream come true. It really is for a professional football team. I never thought that I'd have that chance to do it. I called a little bit of college football when I was in school, but that was, 20 years ago. And, I had done play-by-play of other sports more after graduating, but I never thought, that I'd have this opportunity because I'm kind of busy with my full-time job as sports director of the CBS affiliate here. But it's just amazing to be part of the team. I was out at practice today observing and kind of preparing, and, it was kind of a pinch yourself moment. It's like, this is my team. I'm part of this team, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get behind the mic on Saturday night and call some football. And hopefully, it opens doors for more women who want to do play-by-play. That's what I feel too. I feel like I'm almost doing it for my gender too, because there just aren't very many women doing football play-by-play. More female play-by-play announcers now than there ever were, but just not too many, in a football booth yet. And hopefully I can help that along a little bit by doing a good job.
Well, what was the call like for you to get this position? Like, how did it happen? What was the moment like? What did you feel?
Yeah, so basically what happened was, I'm the sports director at a CBS affiliate, and the Alliance obviously is tied in with CBS. When the Alliance announced that they'd have a team in Orlando, well, when the Alliance announced that they were actually existing, and, the first team that they announced was in Orlando, this was back in the spring, and they did it on CBS this morning on a Saturday, and just being a CBS affiliate, I was like, how can I get my station to be a part of the Apollos? Because, Steve Spurrier is a game changer. I knew that would create a lot of buzz by getting the head ball coach in. So that week after the announcement of the Alliance and the Orlando franchise, I reached out to the Alliance to try and get an interview with Spurrier, and they brought him in to some social media opportunities for their Facebook page and everything. And so Coach Spreaker and I spent about a half hour together, and we hit it off. And, he left saying, oh, she should do my coach's show. She should do my coach's show. And I said, yeah, I'd be on board with it. But it was just kind of small talk. And then a couple months later, the Apollos came in again. The team president, Mike Waddell, came in again to our studio, along with Coach Spurrier and the general manager, Tim Ruskell. And again, we just had a really good rapport. And, I was super enthusiastic about their product. And then it was, maybe 3 weeks later that Mike Waddell, the president, called me and asked me to be the voice of the Apollos. And I was floored. And, it was something that I just couldn't believe it. It's just like, of course I'll do it. I'd be honored to be the voice of the Orlando Apollos. And then it was just, it took a little bit to sink in, like, wow, I get to do this. Obviously I had to ask permission, from my employers here at WKMG in Orlando, but they were all for it. They've been very, very supportive of it too. So that's kind of how it happened. They reached out to me. I think they wanted somebody local. It wasn't a national search. They wanted somebody local who knows the Orlando market, and they wanted somebody that the Orlando market knows. So, to help them get the word out about the team too, and also probably to do something different. I think they wanted to make some splashes, and they certainly did by, hiring me, a woman, to be their radio voice. They've made some outstanding selections on the radio team too. Rini Angolia is the color analyst, and he's been with ESPN for 8 or 9 years now, doing college football games. and but his full-time job is an Orlando police detective. So he is a Central Florida guy too, and I mean he's just outstanding. And then we have a longtime UCF radio guy as our sideline reporter who's well known around the community too. So we really feel like we've got a really good radio broadcast team.
That's going to be super exciting because, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
to have impressed Michael Waddell is something, and because he's an old broadcast guy himself, so I think game recognizes game, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, Mike and I hit it off really well too. I mean, that guy is just full of energy. He's great for that team. You know, he's been a driving force in the marketing and promotion of the team. And, you know, he's had so much on his plate from hiring staff, getting everything organized. And he's done a great job of it too. So the chance to work with him is going to be fun. And yeah, I mean, he and I hit it off. We have a lot of, mutual friends. I mean, so he's worked a lot in college. And I certainly know a lot of people who cover college sports. So we've got a lot of people in common. So when he reached out to me and offered me the job, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't think, you know, when the alliance launched, I'd have this opportunity, and I'm certainly grateful and blessed that I do.
That's amazing. And so, I mean, I'm sure you had a little bit of ties with his time in West Point, and you're from New York, so you have something to talk about there.
Yeah, actually, a real mutual connection is a broadcaster named Matt Park. He's the play-by-play voice for the Syracuse Orange, the football and basketball team. Mike and Matt worked together in, I think it was Greensboro, North Carolina, for a minor league baseball team. It was one of Matt's first jobs, and I went to college with Matt. So, you know, we talked about Matt, we talked about broadcasting, and yeah, we certainly had a lot of connections and things in common, you know, places that we've been.
Well, I tell you, there's a little connection here between yourself and myself because I was stationed in Watertown, New York, right about the time when you were getting your start. So, I may have seen you on TV at some point, on WWTI, in Watertown because I was there right around that time.
That is amazing. Well, thank you for your service. First of all, I mean, being up in Watertown is just such a great memory. I was up there for 5 years, and it was a great place for me to cut my teeth as a young sportscaster. You know, we covered a lot of high school stuff. I mean, basically all high school stuff and a little bit of college, but that's awesome. And, you know, Fort Drum is such a big deal there. The 10th Mountain Division is just such a source of pride. And that's terrific. But yeah, I mean, gosh, that was about 20 years ago. About 20 years ago.
Telling me. It was a while ago.
Yeah. But that's terrific.
Absolutely. And it was cold, so cold. I'm sure you're glad you're in Florida now.
I am. I mean, I remember my first year in Watertown. I swear, it started snowing on New Year's Eve, and it didn't stop until January 15th. It snowed. You know, it wasn't constant, but it snowed at least once a day for over 2 weeks straight. And at the end, you know, there was over 3 feet on the ground, and it was amazing. And it was cold, but being from New York and upstate, you know, I know cold weather. It was a little bit colder in Watertown because of the lake and everything like that. We're further north, but you know what? I'd never traded in for anything. It was a great experience being up there. So, but yes, I am most definitely very happy to be down in the Florida weather. And like I said, I was at practice today for the Apollos. It was unbelievable. It was mid-70s, sunny out. You know, it was football weather, Florida style, and I'll take it.
So you were out at practice, and what is standing out to you right now? What are you seeing from the team? What are they looking like going into this first game?
Well, I think they've got a lot of speed. That's for sure. You know, at their skill positions, lots and lots of speed and experience. You know, they've got Linnell Hall, who spent some time in the NFL, and he went to the University of Central Florida. Really speedy guy. They also have Marvin Bracey Williams, who is a very interesting story. Really interesting kid. He's an Orlando native. And he committed to Florida State out of high school as a receiver, but he never played for the team because he was an All-American sprinter. He went to the Olympics instead. So he's this Olympic sprinter, and he was part of the Team USA's relay team in the the 4x100. I think it was 4x100, or maybe it was 4x200. Anyway, super fast kid. He's going to be handling punt returns and receiving too. So they got a lot of speed. They've got a really solid running back in Akeem Hunt. And the word is, though, as good as their offense could be with Garrett Gilbert at quarterback, who's an experienced guy, who's had a shot or two with the Carolina Panthers, as good as their offense could be, I guess the thing that stood out at camp, from what I heard, was their defense, that their defense is really together and organized. So, and I think that's what's going to be key to these early games, is how organized are these teams going to be? How well do they function together? Maybe they're not flashy or anything, but are they making mistakes, or are they getting the plays right? And I guess the defense really stood out in camp.
And I know you weren't able to get to the scrimmages and the actual team, I guess, real live action in San Antonio. But they tested a lot of the bugs out there. What kind of a product do you think we'll see on Saturday?
I think, it'll be interesting. There's going to be mistakes that are going to be made. I think the product overall, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. There are going to be moments when the football's not going to be pretty. There will be penalties. There will be missed tackles. There will be missed assignments. Because it's really, these guys have been together for a very short amount of time, and now they're coming together. But I think it's going to be fun. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I really do. That's what I hope. I hope, there's a lot of scoring in this league, and, I think it's going to be really competitive. And I don't know how, the Atlanta Legends are. I don't, but I do know that there are a lot of hungry players on the Orlando Apollos, because what is being preached to them is, this is your chance to show what you can do. You didn't have those opportunities, per se, if you were on the practice squad with an NFL team, or if you were in a training camp with an NFL team, because they're not looking at you if you weren't your draft pick. This is a chance for redemption. And from what I've heard, all of these guys on the Apollos are hungry. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the team. They cut some pretty impressive names because they just weren't giving it their all, So that's what I think we'll see. I think we're going to see, guys who want to win, but I think we're going to see some, mistakes and some ugly football at times, but I think there's going to be some function too.
I've always told people, be patient. I mean, anytime you launch something brand new, there's always going to be, and there's, diehard fans are like, oh, you've had all this time to prepare. This needs to come out polished. And I tell everybody, just calm down and relax and enjoy what we're about to watch.
You're absolutely right. I mean, because, they were in camp for 4 weeks, and, it's never easy to get together in 4 weeks, and then they've got a week of game week prep. So, I'm sure all the teams, although they have game tape, from the scrimmages they had on San Antonio, they have game tape of each other, but I'm sure the mantra this week is, let's just focus on us and do what we have to do. So, it's going to be like an opening game of anything. It's probably going to be like an opening game between two expansion teams, because that's what they are. Again, it might not be pretty, but you're right. You've got to be patient. But, I think it's still going to be fun. I really do.
I can only imagine what people on the internet would say if they watched the first ever NFL game way, way back before any of that. There would probably be trolls saying, this is dumb.
This is awful. This is the worst. What am I watching?
This will never last.
How come he can't run? Yeah, how come he can't run more than 2 yards? Why is this so slow? The one thing, it's going to be fast football. I think it's going to be pretty fast. I think it's going to be pretty spread out. There's a lot of receivers, a lot of cornerbacks on the rosters, and I think for good reason, because I think they're going to spread it out and try and go a little up tempo, because, the play clock is shorter, it's cut, by 5 seconds. So they have to operate quickly, and this is what, I think that's what the league wants to be. I think it wants to be a fast league, to keep people's attention, for sure. That's why they shorten the games. There's no, TV timeouts during the quarters. So it's going to go fast, and I think that's going to help it a lot too.
Do you have your touchdown call ready?
Everybody has been asking, do I have a call? And I'm like, I don't have one yet. And, I think it'll just have to come naturally. I'm just trying to get be fundamentally strong and have fun in week 1, and week 2 just get better, and then start to hit a stride week 3 and 4, because it has been a while. And I'm not going to be perfect. I know I'm not going to be perfect on Saturday night, but I'm going to do my best to make it entertaining and to match the energy of the game. So I think in time I'll come up with something. But right now I'm just like, okay, let's prepare well, let's know the players, let's call a good game, and then do it with a little bit more flair in the weeks to come.
Crawl before you walk, right?
Yes, exactly. Just a little bit like the league, kinks are going to be worked out throughout the first couple of weeks.
I love it. Well, I tell you, I'm hoping that that there's some sort of internet feed that we can catch it through, because as much as I love national, sometimes I really enjoy listening to actual local feeds, because you get a little more energy out of it. So I'd like to look for one, and if there is one, then maybe I'll turn down the national feed and crank you up.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on your podcast, and I look forward to talking to you later in the season.
Absolutely.
About
all right. Well,
football, if you want me back.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. She is Jamie Seh. She is the play-by-play announcer for the Orlando Apollos. Tell everybody where they can find you, Jamie, on social media.
Okay, well, I am on Twitter, just at Jamie Seh, and it's JamiesSeh. It's that simple. So I'm on Twitter, and I'll be tweeting a lot about the Apollos throughout the season.
And we look forward to reading that. Thank you very much, Jamie, again for joining me.
Thank you so much.
All right, joining me for this quarter are the hosts of the Iron Legion podcast, one of the newest members of the Alliance Podcast Network that we're starting to build here, and we're just excited to have them on. Thank you, Cole and Jeremy, for being on the show.
Hey, well, thanks for having us. Appreciate us coming on here. I know you mentioned the podcast group. They've been a big, huge help out to us, and we really appreciate you having us on here.
Yeah, we're really excited to be on the show. We listened on your episodes as well. I respect what you do for the league, and I can't imagine what you do by yourself following all the teams. Me and Jeremy have a hard enough time following one team, so kudos to you there.
It's funny. I mean, I get that a lot because for me, podcasting is a solo act, because there's really, first of all, no one else in the area can get excited about the stuff that I get excited about, so I'm doing it alone half the time anyways. And just the simple fact that my schedule is so ridiculous that it's hard. But I wish I had the kind of show synergy that you and Jeremy have, or the Fleet Speak guys, or the Shipyard guys, or Memphis AF. I do long for a co-host, but maybe someday.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do this by myself either. I think Cole is a great host. He does a great job, just all around. So I'm very, very grateful.
We got good chemistry, right? We got good chemistry. That's what it is.
So,
I mean, after 10 years, you would assume that we had good chemistry.
That's where I'm going. So, football in Alabama, right? I mean, we all know that college football is king over there. But what's it feel like now to have a professional team in Alabama to cheer for?
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And I mean, as you know, as a lot of people know, just going off their collegiate team, we take football pretty seriously in the state of Alabama. I mean, you look at the success they've had at the collegiate level with Auburn, Alabama, but then you look at what UAB's done since they come back, when they suspended the team, and a lot of different teams. My first name is Crimson, so I grew up in Alabama, grew up a big Alabama fan. I wasn't even born in 1992, but I've seen the 1992 national championship multiple times against Miami off YouTube. But I got a son born next month. His middle name is going to be Tide. So, to have a professional team again in the state of Alabama, these guys are pretty passionate about it. I know other fan bases are saying, "Hey, we're so excited." You look at San Diego getting a team back, but you better remember these guys in Birmingham in the state of Alabama. They're gonna take things pretty seriously. We're competitive.
Yeah, I think it favors us a little bit with how we assembled our team, because our area is pretty good. You have Alabama players, Auburn players, Georgia players, and stuff like that. I think overall, Alabama is a great state for football, and I think we have a pretty good team because of that as well. So I think it's going to be an exciting year.
So walk me through how the Iron Legion was born. What is it that you guys decided to do to finally to get a show? Because up until then, there was not a show for the Birmingham Iron, and we were begging for one, and thankfully you guys answered the call. So how'd that come about?
I think Cole, just about 6 months ago, messaged me about this league. And at the time, I didn't really think anything of it. And we just kind of actively looked at it. But then I think about 2 months ago, Cole was scrolling through it and looked at all of these podcast pages. And he's like, wait, I don't see one for Birmingham. He immediately called me and said, hey, I think we should do this. I had no idea about what a podcast, or I guess I had an idea, but I had no idea how to do a podcast. And we just love talking about football. So I think it was a great idea at the time, even though we had no idea what we were doing. And I think it was just a perfect time and a perfect opportunity for us because there wasn't one. And Cole took advantage of that very quickly. And we've put in the hours and the works just to make this possible. And we absolutely love doing it so far.
Right. And I mean, Jeremy, every time after a big game or something, you talk about the Saints game that we've seen against the Rams. Every conversation we ever have is a podcast. So it just got to the point to where when me and Jeremy are talking about football or really sports in general, we look down at the phone and we've been talking to each other for 55 minutes. And I'm like, hey, we can do this because we do it all the time. So just making that transition, figuring out the electronics part of it, took us a while, took us a few weeks actually to get everything set up. But I'm enjoying the ride. I'm excited to feel like I'm contributing, to the league, to the team a little bit. I'm honored to say I figured it out and we're having success so far, I guess.
Well, I mean, listen, people can listen to you, and that means that you've done something right.
We had more than 2 listeners. I think we said that in our first episode, and I didn't think we were going to reach 100, and that was a milestone for us. So I can't believe people actually want to hear us talk, and I think that just solidified that I think we're doing a good job, and we actually want to do this.
Right, and if you look at it from a fan's perspective, we're super huge Iron fans. If we didn't do it, if anybody put out a podcast talking about the team as well, I'd want to listen to it. We want to get any information we can, and when you start something like this, when you have a media platform, we've had the honor of interviewing Mark Burnett, the team reporter. So you find out, questions to answers that a lot of people have that we get to share with them and be a part of the entire experience. It's really cool. I'm excited that we made this decision, and I'm loving every minute of it so far.
Well, speaking of your chat with the team reporter, what other access have you been able to have with the team? Is it been kind of an opening experience for you, or what's that been like?
Well, I think if we would have started a lot sooner, like most of these other podcasts, we probably would have had more communication with the team. We kind of started a little bit late. I think we had our first podcast last week, so we were very new to the scene, and we're just trying to put out feelers there and reach out to the team. We've had a few connections, not as much as we'd like, but like I said, we came in a little late to this, so we're hopefully looking to partner up with them a little bit more over the season.
Yeah, and if you talk about the guys that are involved with the Alliance of American Football and more specifically the Birmingham Iron, they're super open to reaching out to you. I mean, we've had 2 or 3 people just this week since we got our first episode up. We got the logo fixed. We're on Google Play and iTunes now. These guys are all they're there to help you out and guide you along. So that I know you were talking about your previous episode of the Alliance Football Podcast. It's really cool with the start of this league that you can just tag somebody on Twitter or send somebody an email and get a response back. That's awesome, and you don't get that anywhere else. So we're just as much appreciative to them helping us out, I'm sure, as they are us covering the team. It's been fun.
Yeah, and that to me, that gets lost in the NFL. You obviously, if you were to message Antonio Brown or tag Antonio Brown, the chances of him actually seeing that tweet are almost nil. And
it's not going to happen.
Say again?
I said, yeah, it's not going to happen. He's not responding back to you.
No, but I mean, you tag a guy like I did a while back, and then I tagged BJ Daniels in a tweet, and he immediately responded and said, yeah, let's get on the show. Now, unfortunately, I realized why I never could get him on the show because he ended up getting cut. But I mean,
it happened to us. Yeah, that happened to us also.
So yeah, so you feel our pain. I mean, I wanted to get him on the show, and then the day before cuts, I messaged him. I said, "Hey, are we ready to go?" And then all of a sudden, you didn't answer, and I realized why. So, BJ, if you're listening, I wish you would have gotten a shot, bud.
So I had written a big a Twitter post about one of the guys on the team. Just going off the stats that we've seen from the play-by-play in the scrimmage, Marcus McDade, which is, I guess, would have been a 3 or 4 guy on the depth chart at quarterback. I thought he played really well, and me and Jeremy have been looking at a lot of the highlights he had from high school and when he played a little college ball. And I'm like, man, I think this guy right here could come in and play a little bit. And he actually had the only touchdown of the game, and I wrote this huge post about him saying, I'm excited to see this guy on the field. And then, of course, the next day he gets cut, and he's quoting my post and saying all I wanted was an opportunity. And when you get involved like that, it makes you feel a little bad. I wish we could have seen him play, and we kind of ate our words.
So you talked to the team reporter. What kind of, don't like spoil your own episode, but what kind of takeaways did you have from him as far as how this team is looking going into the first game?
Well, I think it's really looking really good. We have a defensive-minded coach in Tim Lewis, so I think our defense is going to be our strong suit here. But I think we have some unknowns on the offense that are going to surprise some people. So I think what he reported back from training camp and the scrimmage was some surprising and good information.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the 52 that we have. You talk about guys like Luis Perez, who's everybody's talking about him now, who was a no-name guy first coming into the league. And Trent Richardson, of course. We got a couple big-name guys, but there's a lot of guys, and you even look at local guys. Beniquez Brown at linebacker, he's from Florence, Alabama. There's a lot of guys that we didn't know about that are really big-time players, and Mark kind of touched on those. So we're excited to see some of the guys that you didn't know their name going into the season. They're going to emerge as leaders, and then everybody that's sitting in the bleachers at Legion Field is going to know them from then on out.
So what's the game day experience hopefully for you going to be like? I mean, I know that you guys are going to be there. Are you season ticket holders?
Yes. So actually, one thing that's really cool is what we're trying to do right now is get involved with the credential cards. So we've gotten involved with the media a little bit. We're hoping we get to be on the sideline with the team reporter and possibly even the players. But just being in Legion Field, the Gray Lady, it's going to be a special thing. Like Jeremy said, we've got to see a couple pictures. They got new grass out there now. I've done a couple renovations with the lights, so I don't know. It's going to be cool. An old field again coming alive, getting to see professional football. I'm excited, man.
We're definitely going to go to every single home game, that's for sure. We're going to try to get as much involved as much as we possibly can, with tailgating, meeting everybody, and trying to, generate some new fans for the game and for ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's, I think, going to be clutch in especially these first couple of weeks, because I know that, listen, I've done some very serious Twittering over the last couple of days, to the detriment of probably every relationship that I have now, because I've been on the phone so much answering back everybody's football's over tweet, just to try to drum up a little more support of the league, because I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised when they actually see what happens on Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully if they don't go in thinking it's going to be the NFL, they may even be more pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I think you've seen that a lot around the league, especially after the Super Bowl. A lot of people were excited for that season to get over because they were just frustrated with it, and I hope this brings new life to football. Because you hear all these bad calls in the NFL and stuff like that, and I heard there wasn't going to be as many, like they were going to let them play more this season. So I think more people are actually going to find this more refreshing, and I think that's what's going to keep the longevity of it. Is it's not the NFL.
Yeah, sure, and I'm hoping for a better, fan experience with the league in its entirety. You're talking about a shorter game, but you get the same amount of football. The app coming out, they're putting a little bit of a spin on fantasy league there. So I'm excited about some new things they've implemented. The chip and the ball, we were talking about that on our podcast on this last episode. They've done a lot of cool things. It's got people thinking, saying, maybe I'll give this a try, and you should give it a try because I think it's going to be a success.
Yeah, I don't think I have to convince anybody that listens to this podcast, but I hope I hope maybe a few more people that are on the fence are listening this week, and they know that Saturday at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, they'll get a shot to watch something brand new. And anymore, you can't really say that, and especially when it comes to the world of sports. And for you to be able to sit and watch something from the beginning. Is even more asinine, but it's attainable, and you can do it on Saturday. So, okay. So Birmingham has the iron. Which team do you feel like should be the natural rival already? I know it's still early, but if you had to pick a rival, who would you pick?
I'm probably thinking Memphis or Atlanta. They're our closest ones. I think more or less Atlanta. Just from college standpoint. How we have a pretty competitive season there. If you're a lot of college fans, I'm pretty sure they're going to be watching this league. So I think probably Atlanta.
I think it's got to be Memphis just because the trash are already talking. I mean, we're just a few days away. The game is Sunday. I think it's going to be Memphis, and we're going to find out. A lot of it's going to have to do with being competitive. So if one team shatters the other, you're not going to have that rivalry. Let's say that, Orlando, we get to play those guys twice. If Orlando and Birmingham have competitive games, maybe one beats the other once and then vice versa the next game, you kind of build a rivalry over time. So we'll see. I hope it's Memphis because I really want to beat those guys really bad. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, listen, your listeners must be thrilled listening to you, Cole. I'm Jeremy, not to say that you don't have a wonderful voice, but Cole's, man, that just screams Alabama to me. You've got that nice, deep, thick accent. So, yeah, I got to tell you, when I was listening to you first, I was like, this is Alabama.
Yeah, and that was a worry to start of it. I actually work in, I'll say, insurance sales. Not going to say where it's at, but just over the phone, practicing over the years, I was like, Jeremy, I'm not sure that I can pronunciate some of these things I'm going to say as quickly, but we're genuine. Jeremy, he's kind of a Boston guy. He's from Massachusetts, so he's a Patriots fan. God love him there. We'll forgive him. But Jeremy's been in Alabama for a while, so we're genuine. We love the state of Alabama. We love Alabama football, Auburn football. We're excited to have a team inside our state again that we can be there for, we can support. It's like I said, it's all genuine. It's really cool.
And that's probably why he's in sales. He does have that voice. He can sweet talk anybody. You see it anywhere. He'll go to the game. He'll make 100 friends, and I'll probably be there not making very many. So that's just him. He's born for this.
Hey, buddy, you're gonna be making all kind of friends Sunday. We all got the same goal that
day. Now it's lightning and thunder, right? I mean, you got to have the one and the other, and it's a great interplay that you guys got going on, and it makes it so much fun to listen to because you've got this thundering Southern accent voice, mixed with the nice, refreshing palate cleanser, and then you go back into it. It's, I don't know. To me, it was a no-brainer to have you guys on, anyways, because I love the way that you guys present the podcast. I love the way you guys have fun. And it's definitely worth listening to. So I can't wait for your second episode to drop because, I can only re-listen to episode 1 so many times.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be today. As soon as we get out of here, I'm going to do some final editing. And, we're going to get better as the season goes along. We told our guys, Jeremy, at the end of episode 1, we're like, if you think we're awful, we're really sorry. We apologize because now we feel like we got pressure on us. We're the only podcast for the eye. But towards the end of the season, experience comes with it. We're going to get better. Me and Jeremy already have the chemistry. So as the season goes along, hopefully going into season 2, we're still here. Every week we hope to improve, and we're here for the listeners, for the fans, for the team. We have a responsibility at this point. We've dedicated enough time. We're emotionally invested enough to where we owe it to them to put out quality stuff to listen to, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's what this league does. It hits all the points in this podcast. We absolutely love football. We love the podcast. We love talking, and that's just us. And I think this is absolutely perfect for us. And the amount of time and hours that we're going to put into this and that we have already put into this, we just want to make this the most successful thing ever. Just for us, we're super competitive people, and we like to put 110% towards everything. So we're going to do that to this, and I think we're going to do good on it.
Well, like I said, look forward to more episodes to come, and I know all of the listeners out here, by the time you hear this, it's already should be up. So if you have not acquainted yourself with the Iron Legion podcast, you need to and listen to it. So why don't you guys go ahead and tell everybody where they can find the show, where they can find you guys on social media, so that way when they're done here, if they haven't already heard, which they're living under a rock, but they can pick it up.
Yeah, you could find us at Iron Podcast on Twitter. We have a Facebook page as well, the Iron Legion Podcast. And then you could also email us if you have any questions or concerns or anything you'd like to shoot at us at Birmingham Iron Podcast, I believe it is, at Gmail.
You're killing me, Smalls. Yeah, it's a long name. Birmingham Iron Legion at gmail.com. So we're getting there on that one. It's long, I know. But yeah, we appreciate feedback from you guys. And look, we appreciate what you do for the league. We listen to all these guys' podcasts out there, all the way from San Diego to the Apollos. We listen to every one of them. I drive 2 hours a day. So I listened to yours yesterday. We appreciate what all these guys do for the league, just raising awareness. And, we're all in this together. And I appreciate the support that all you other podcasts have shown to us, because without you guys, I know there's one or two we had where we wouldn't have gotten through.
Outstanding. All right. Well, they are Jeremy and Cole. They are the voices of the Iron Legion, the podcast dedicated to the Birmingham Iron. So much more to talk about. The season's finally going to start. So I'm sure we'll have you on at least one more time before the season's over. But gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Forge on.
Thanks, son. Absolutely. We appreciate it. Go Iron this Sunday.
We've come to the end of yet another episode of the Alliance Football Podcast. So happy that you decided to listen in, and we are getting so much more closer to the opening game and football to be had in the spring. Man, so do me a favor. Tell all of your friends about this show. get them psyched up for Saturday so we can continue to have more football to talk about after this season. Because I think how the next couple of weeks goes is going to go a long way in how far the league is going to be able to make it. So let us all celebrate football together and tell at least 1 or 2 or 3 of your friends about the league and about this podcast so we can all get super excited about it. And if you like this podcast, take some time to maybe give it a rating on your favorite podcast app, be it iTunes or Google Play or wherever. It'd be appreciated. I do enjoy hearing people enjoying this show, and if you like it, put a ring on it. No, I'm just kidding. At least put a star on it. How's that? At least one. I mean, whatever. And if I suck, tell me that too. I'd like to know because this show is obviously for you, and because I like to hear myself talk. So we all get something out of it. Anyways, big thanks to Jamie Seh. Make sure that you pay attention to her and follow her on social media. That way you can, get in on the action. Maybe, hopefully, like I said, she can, you can listen to her feed instead of the national feed. But find her on Twitter at Jamie Seh. That's JAMIESEH. She definitely is posting on that quite a bit about the Apollos. And then, of course, follow the folks at the Iron Legion podcast at Iron Podcast. Definitely great stuff. Their episode's dropping pretty soon. So, again, time for football Saturday. Can't get here fast enough. So until then, we all sit patiently and hope that someday we can all be part of the Alliance for a very, very long time. So let's get to Saturday.